Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry. For today's video, I'm going to be discussing the preview we got of the new summon showcase, Water's Blessing, as well as summoning on the Accursed Archives. So I'll briefly touch on Water's Blessing. I think we were all hoping for a little bit more information at Reset yesterday, and we ended up just getting the info for this showcase. The reason we were thinking we'd get more info than that was that March 20th, tomorrow, is when some new Void Battles drop. It's when we've been told we're going to get a new login bonus, but it looks like this is kind of a filler showcase until the 27th, which is when the actual half anniversary happens. So I think that after that, on the half anniversary, we will probably get a gala showcase or some type of special showcase, since we've been told to expect something for the half anniversary. I don't think they would say that without there being something around the corner. But this Water's Blessing showcase, I think they've designed to have some appeal. Some people would probably say this is bait, but I do think, depending on what the 4 stars are, there could be merit to summoning on this, depending on your account as well. Now, first up, we have Xander as one of the featured 5 stars. He's an attack unit, and he is an absolute powerhouse. He is a beast thanks to his 2 attacking skills, the first of which scales up for every buff the user has. You can stack strength buffs onto Xander naturally through his striker strength in his kit, which powers him up for every 3 enemies defeated with 4 strikes, and his 4 strikes even do 50% more damage, and that particular ability is what makes him so effective at breaking bosses. He is just a really killer unit for facility events. If you're good at dodging, you can solo. So far, both of the Master Challenge battles have been soloed by Xanders that are really well built and really well played. So Xander is a very powerful unit. His stun res of 100% makes him great for Flame Imperial Onslaught, but it does make him a little bit weaker for Hibernhilda. It makes him harder to use in public lobbies because Hibernhilda inflicts burn that takes you down to 1 HP. You really need your Thaniel, your healer, who can cleanse burn, to do so at certain times in the match. It's not that hard to learn, but it is a little bit unreliable in public lobbies. Now we have Lily, so this is just like the current showcase in that there are actually 2 featured 5-star adventures rather than just 1. Lily, I think they put on here both because she is a great water adventurer and because, for newer players, she has that crossover appeal being in Cygame's other properties, and they haven't had a banner with her on focus yet. We got that Albert banner recently, so I think it actually makes a lot of sense that we see Lily here. Lily is a very powerful unit too. She is also able to solo a lot of these challenge battles. There was one that went up for the Master Challenge battle this time. 2 attacking skills. Glacial Blossom comes out pretty slowly, but it freezes in a very wide radius. And Frozen Gale is an area of effect that just hits right around Lily, but it's good to take mobs off of her if she's getting swarmed. Her full HP equals strength goes up to a massive 15% once it's fully upgraded. If you can keep her healthy, that is a very powerful bonus, and as a ranged character, it's not that hard in most content. Once you learn the map a little bit, it's not that hard to keep her out of the fray and stay at full HP, especially if you have a healer on your team. Her burn res of 100% makes her much easier to use than Xander in the High Dragons in Hibernhilda specifically. There's definitely still some nuance to playing her, but I think from what I understand, she is one of the easier characters to pick up for that fight. Her skill prep of 100% also makes her great for her content where there's lots of mobs. She can fire off one of her big area of effect skills right away. She's even used in stuff like speed clears for like the Manticore epithet, because she can continuously freeze the boss. So in certain fights, you can basically prevent the boss from moving and just get the rest of your teammates to gang up on them. So Lily is a very powerful unit, there's no doubt about that. And Poseidon is also a very powerful dragon. A lot of people, I think, underestimated Poseidon toward the beginning of the game because this HP and strength 30% seems worse than a pure 60% strength boost like we see on the other 5-star water dragon in the normal summoning pool, Leviathan. And Leviathan is very, very powerful due to its bog, so I won't question that. But I do think Poseidon has shaken out to be pretty good. mostly because there's not a pure HP water dragon in the normal summoning pool, but also to some extent because for ranged characters, their defense stat is at 8 instead of 10, and they need more HP to meet the threshold requirements in high dragon trials. So Poseidon is good for that reason, and I also think he has some potential with dual worm prints, where by sacrificing 30% strength that you would get on, say, a Leviathan, you might be able to run 2 offensive worm prints instead of 1 offensive worm print and a high dragon worm print. It's a little bit of a niche strategy, but I know that, for instance, right now, we have clears in our Discord where we'll have like a Karina running Poseidon, and she's using Resounding Rendition instead of the Volcanic Queen worm print. So I think there's some merit to Poseidon, even if you're using a melee adventurer. It's actually not that bad of a dragon, but basically, with all of that in mind, you can't necessarily guarantee you're going to get one of these 5 stars, but with this being called Water's Blessing, I have to assume that probably the 4-star dragons and the 4-star adventurers that are given a rate up, which you'll be able to check the day the showcase releases, have to assume they'll probably be water. I'm thinking we'll get Vojanoi as the 4-star water dragon on focus, although we might get Poliahu or maybe even both. And I think for adventurers, likely candidates are Orsum, Thaniel, or maybe Karina just due to her popularity. I think that Orsum is a little bit underrepresented right now in high Brunhilde public lobbies, and Thaniel is always in very high demand. There is a need for healers in that fight, so especially with Poseidon on rate up, that's the way I think they're going to try to use this showcase to appeal to enfranchised players. If you've already beaten High Midgard-Sormr and you want to take on High Brunhilde, then this could have some appeal to you. If you don't have the right dragon you need, maybe you need Poseidon for your preferred adventurer, like Lily perhaps, you're building her that way instead of through a strength dragon. But for me, this is going to be a pretty easy skip. And I think that given I don't really need water on my team, I'm not a newer player who just doesn't have any water adventures other than Alisand, and I'm not an enfranchised player who is in between High Midgard-Sormr and High Brunhilde, and I already have Xander and Lily, I think this is going to be a pretty easy skip for me. There could be some merit to summoning on it, but I would wait until the end of the showcase. It seems like we're not getting an event right away, we're getting void battles, so there's not a dramatic reason to pull until the end of this, where hopefully we'll have more information about what's coming next. So that's all I want to say about Water's Blessing, and like I mentioned, I am going to be summoning on the Accursed Archives, believe it or not. I just felt that I wanted to give a chance to myself of getting Heinwald or Curran, or even the Fleeting Girl or Nyarlathotep. Truth be told, it's probably a bad idea. There aren't really any other things on the showcase that I'm crazy about in terms of the 4 stars. I already have Kleiman. I already have a Max Unbound Silk. I don't have a Max Unbound Castaway's Journal, but I don't really need that. First Rate Hospitality, I don't really need that. But it is a cool worm print. I wouldn't mind picking one up. And for the Heretics Laboratory, I'm already at 1 million in the event, so I don't need that either. But what we're going to do today is just spin some of our single tickets. Part of me feels like the uniqueness of Nyarlathotep and Heinwald is something I want to test for myself if we are able to get them. And I do feel I have a fairly comfortable cushion here, where I won't dip below 20k Wormite no matter what. But I am going to start off with my singles, and I'm hoping to just get a 5-star and then stop. Whatever 5-star it may be off focus, it may be a worm print. But we're going to go ahead and get into it. I'll be back in just a moment, and we're going to start our summoning. So I am back. We are definitely in do as I say, not as I do territory here, because strategically this isn't very valuable to me. There's not a whole lot I actually need from this showcase. This is definitely a case of wants. But part of me, that completionist mentality, I've technically summoned on every showcase in the game. So there's a little bit of a content move here and a little bit of a completionist mentality in my mind where I want to at least give it a shot to have gotten something from this. Granted, that's the type of mentality I feel like I should advocate you try to avoid, because ultimately, however many 10 folds or singles we spin here are just things I'm taking away from future showcases like Gala or a spring seasonal showcase, which I do think we'll get after Gala. So there is a lot of risk to this, but I don't know. I just want to see, I want to give myself a chance to get Heinwald or get Curran, get something cool, and hopefully we're able to do so. But if we're just able to get a random 5-star, that is okay too, and we'll sacrifice the little bit of extra rate that we would have gotten from Gala. Now, I'm kind of over Gala Cerise at this point because it took so long and so much summoning last time for me to actually try to get her. I don't really have a great setup for her anyway, and I've started to invest in my other characters. The last new 5-star adventure I got was on her showcase though. It was Hildegard, and as it turns out, Hildegard has proven to be way more useful for me in a lot of the clears since then, especially those master difficulty challenge battles like the circus one. So it kind of worked out in a way. And as for the Gala unit, if we are indeed getting Gala on March 27th, I think it'll probably be a water unit. I think they might continue this theme of making Hybernhilda more accessible to people as we ramp up toward April, where maybe we'll get another High Dragon trial and that will kind of become the new end game. So I think a water axe with burn and stun res would help a lot for that. Maybe it'll be a Ronzel alt. The other theory I've been floating, which is not really well founded at all, but I just want to believe because of half anniversary, is that maybe we'll finally get that Daoko unit that was rumored, and she will be a Gala unit and like a water blade. Okay, we're gonna get a gold, so we're gonna get a 4-star here. Most likely a duplicate, but it could be a Castaway's Journal or a first-rate hospitality. And it is a Sisters of the Anvil. I've already max unbound that. That's the wrong strength double buff worm print. We also have a lot of single summon tickets here. I was able to get one as a drop during the last raid, and I got a bunch during the New Year's raid, but since then it's just been the standard accrual of them. I haven't really gotten any special ones. It's just that the rewards from the event, they've been pretty generous with both events giving out single summon tickets this time. We're going to take a look at our pity rate after this, and I think I'll continue with singles. But, it is tempting to start spinning the Wormite right away. Let's see what we get. Under the big top worm print. I don't remember the name of that one, so one more before increased rates. Yeah, it would be nice to just spend our singles and get away with that and not have to dip into our Wormite collection. There are a couple 3-star adventures I'm missing, so those would also be nice to pick up. Hey, we're actually going to get Bellathorna. This is a worm print I didn't mention, but this is actually pretty good if your helper casts a buff. Now I have this at 3 unbound. It is something I keep. Alright, so decision point. Do we continue to try to increase our pity rate, and by doing so, also not have to dip into our Wormite potentially? Or do we just spend our Wormite now with the heightened rate and hope that we get a 5-star right away and don't have to dip even further? I think I'm going to go for the single summons. I think I'm going to go for that. And my reasoning is I wouldn't mind ducking out a little bit early if we break our pity rate here. And if not, we have it heightened twice, and hopefully that first 10-fold will break it for us. I'll speed through these a little bit, since there aren't a lot of 3 stars that are really worth reporting on. I hope that you enjoyed my video on double worm prints. Just wanted to point out some ideas I had, some thoughts on the topic. I appreciate you guys watching it and giving your comments. Ooh. Okay, I was gonna say that could have actually been Ryozan, because we don't have Ryozan, but it was just an Eileen. A lot of you also commented on which worm prints you thought were best, and some of the ones I think I left out were the Prince of Dragonule. That's great for water adventurers who are focused on critical. That is a very powerful worm print. Okay, that could have been Xiao Lei. Another one that I'll mention is a lot of you commented on Heralds of Hitamoto that the skill haste isn't really that great. And I think you pretty much convinced me. I mean, it is a bonus on top of that skill damage, which I think is the primary reason it's good. But I do feel like the gap between that and Resounding Rendition is more than what I thought going into that video. And I think the skill haste, while nice on paper, probably doesn't have a lot of relevance in practice. It is pretty small, so I want to look into that more. I think that's one of the harder things to test in the game, but hopefully maybe some of you can point me to posts about that or people's thoughts on that. Skill haste is one of those things where sometimes it feels like I just get a clutch skill 1 second earlier and that can make a difference in a match. But it's really hard to sort of compare the counterfactual. So maybe that one should be a little lower. Some of you were higher on Levin's Champion as well. Let's see where we're at here. So far we haven't really gotten much, so we have to do 4 more summons to increase our pity rate. But that's okay. I think that's to be expected on these singles. Every time we do a single, there's like a 4% or now higher rate that we'll get a 5-star, so there is a chance of something randomly happening that's good. But for the most part, it's just these worm prints. Now, the more I thought about it too, with respect to a spring showcase, I kind of feel like a spring seasonal showcase will be wind element. Because we haven't gotten a wind limited showcase yet, and we have gotten one for all the other elements, this Garudas Feather is just another worm print that has some applications to meet HP checks. So this is another 3-star you could consider keeping. I just kind of feel that sacrificing a whole worm print slot to meet the HP check might cripple your adventure a little bit and might diminish their effectiveness when you could use your other worm print slot for that using the High Dragon print, or possibly use your weapon and dragon combination to do that. So I kind of feel like this isn't as good as it might seem. It's more of a crutch to get you to enter High Dragons a little easier. But I could be wrong on that, depending on how the fights actually shake out. Here we have another Imp. And I think this is going to be our last single summon, and then we'll dip into our Wormite. Looks like we're going to get a 4-star at least. Maybe it'll change? Nope. So what's it going to be? It is a worm print. Fresh Perspective. This is one of the better worm prints. This is really good. I only have a base copy of this, so now I get 1 Unbinding. And I have 1 silver key sitting around that I'm debating on what to use it on. So maybe once I get some more, I'll be able to do that. But let's confirm. Our appearance rates are up now to 5%. So every individual summon in this tenfold is going to have a 5% chance. Hopefully we can get something good and won't have to summon too much more from this. No rainbow yet. Alright. Please don't be the bare minimum. It's the bare minimum. There's also a fear that even if we were to get a staff, it could actually be Hildegard, so that's a concern too. But we're just going to get 1 worm print that's a 4-star. So we'll speed through these. The Library Mortis, actually kind of cool that it showed up in the event story. And if you guys got to 1 million of the event rewards and got your golden key, what did you think of that ending of the event? Because that really shook me, both how it played out in the actual story, and then once you get to the final milestone, the message that you actually get from, I guess I should say Heinwald. You know, some might say Nyarlathotep, but that message is really creepy. We're gonna get a kicking back. I can now max unbind this, but there's really not a large reason to do so. But I can do it if I want to. So let's spend our Wormite again. Now we have a pretty high rate, so it's now or never. There we go. We're gonna get our 5-star, so this is gonna be the last summoning I do today. Hopefully it's something cool. We're gonna get 1 and 2 4-stars. And what's it gonna be? It's a dragon. This could be Nyarlathotep. I have had a lot better luck with dragons this year than with adventurers. 2018, I was getting all sorts of adventurers. But Nyarlathotep, I want to try out. Actually, I'm a little bit higher on him than I was at first. We're gonna get a Phoenix. Now I can max unbind a second copy of Phoenix. Night Harbinger. Hamura. Another Garudas Feathers. Castaway's Journal. Oh my gosh, we're gonna get another Gilgamesh! Just like on last showcase. Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It actually brings us significantly closer to max unbinding. Every copy of a 5-star dragon is pretty valuable. But this is definitely the stopping point for me. We haven't gotten any new adventures in a while. I'll show you the collection. At least we were able to get a 5-star with relatively little fuss. We did dip into our Wormite somewhat significantly. We spent 20 singles and we spent 3,000 Wormites, so that's not trivial. But I don't think it's really worth going any further on this showcase. As I said going into it, we're already in an uphill battle on this one. But here you have my collection. I have it sorted by date obtained. In case you're wondering about all these Eleonora videos, she was my first adventure I ever summoned. From the free summon, it used to be a 4-star, so that is why she holds such a dear place in my heart. And the most recent adventure we got was Jacob, and Valentine's Orion, and then the free units. And then this Hildegard was from January, so not a lot of adventurers to be found once you start to build your collection. We did get some worm prints this time, but nothing especially significant, I don't think. I'll probably keep the Bellathlorna, maybe hang on to these Garudas Feathers for now, unbind Fresh Perspective once, keep unbinding my Castaway's Journal. But for dragons, this is where we got our Gilgamesh, and we got another Phoenix, so maybe I will just make another Phoenix and make some kind of crazy solo team or something, but the Eldwater is starting to look pretty tempting. I do have enough Eldwater now to be able to actually fully unlock the mana circles of an adventurer, so I am looking at Eleonora for that for sure. There's some temptation to wait until the next High Dragon is announced because I could use it for Hildegard or Ieyasu or Halloween Alisan if their dragons come out first, basically. But Eleonora, having that special status in our hearts, I think that she is going to be the first one to get it. So that'll probably be how it shakes out. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you've had better luck on this summon showcase than I've had. Hopefully you'll have some good luck going forward. I'm definitely skipping on Water's Blessing after spending a little bit more than I had hoped on this one, but either way, pretty content with the results. Look forward to some more content on the new Void battles that are coming out tomorrow. Otherwise, take care everyone, and I'll see you next time.